Alright guys, welcome back. So today we'll be taking a look at the Gijoe classified series Blowtorch. And let me just start by saying I'm not so much of a Gijoe fan. I do have some passing familiarity with it from watching a cartoon as a kid and stuff like that. I did even own that infamous Snake Eyes silent issue at some point, but never kept it, unfortunately. But it's from looking at other channels. One I could think of the top of my head is like B's Battlegrounds and stuff, and he deals with a lot of military figures, and it did look kind of cool. So really wanted to get one of the classified series in hand and check it out. And this one just looks so damn cool. I said, yeah, has to be this one. Because even if I don't go further into the G.I. Joe series, at least it does look like a cool character to have. So without further ado, let's crack this package open and see what we get inside. Alright, so let's take a quick look at Blowtorch. And you can see getting into the face. Really nicely done. They seem to be using that same printing tech that they do on the Marvel Legends now. And his looks really good. Not sure what I think about his hairstyle though, but we'll let it slide. You can see some nice silver going on the zipper on this suit here. Around the color, although it's painted pretty well, could have used an next coat of paint because it's a little bit darker than what you get on the molded pieces. For the most part, it does seem to match up pretty well. Now, I'm not very familiar with military gear and stuff, so I'm guessing it's some sort of fire protection suit. I don't know what these things would represent, but this thing, although I first thought it was a radio, actually seems to be the oxygen system to allow him to breathe, because his mask does plug into this. But for the most part, all those little silver details and stuff really nicely done. And you can see them all coming down the arm there. Getting around to the back. Nice details on the armor. Kind of padding sort of pattern going around here. Really is a nice, interesting looking suit. You can see he has a nice belt going on there. This crotch piece actually seems to be rubber, which is quite interesting for Hasbro. It's not soft and pliable as a lot of the other companies that are doing that, but nice to have it nonetheless. Getting down to the legs, these are a bit soft, so very pliable, so it can actually get out of the way if you need it to. The knee pads look really nice as well. You see a little bit of paint smudge there, but for the most part everything is actually really clean, so it's pretty impressive to see. More of those metallic points on the suit. Getting down to the boots, see a little bit of red there. You can see those threads sculpted in around the edges there, and there are peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So he is looking really nice, and he does have this little holster here. These shoulder pieces are also soft rubber, as well as this vest. I have not found any way to take it off, so maybe to take it off you might have to actually pop the head off and the arm off or something. But for the most part, Blowtorch is looking on fire. Getting right into the articulation on Blowtorch. His head does look up a decent amount. It looks down about this far. You can get some slight tilt and of course rotation. Butterfly joints, because of the suit, it can't come forward anymore, so that's about as much as they're gonna get. The shoulders go up about this far. They lay down to the side about this far. They can rotate. They do have a bicep swivel. elbows are double jointed. The wrists are swivel and hinge. And on this side, where he's meant to hold the weapon, it does have a vertical hinge. So that's really nice. The torso articulation, pretty interesting. It does have the kind of Marvel Legends ab crunch there, but it also has a ball joint at the waist. So he does crunch forward, not the greatest because of this vest. Arch back is pretty good. And the waist does twist. Can't get much side to side on it though. But there's a very slight amount. I don't know why they don't do this on Marvel Legends because it looks so much better than just doing the straight cut. The classified series does have drop down hips, and although his are drop down, he is so armored, it almost doesn't really do anything much for him. This is about as high as he can raise his leg. Far back as it could go. This is as far as he could split. He does have a thigh swivel. Double jointed knees. Unfortunately, no boot cut. I think it would have been nice to have a boot cut right here or even down here. But unfortunately, there is none. You can go back about this far if you get the boot over the cuff. And forward about this far. And he does have ankle rocker. I think the articulation would definitely work a lot better if it didn't have all the armor pieces hindering it, but nothing you could do about that. That's just his design. Getting right into his accessories, and we'll put them on him as we go along. First up, he does come with this molded green pistol. It's alright sculpted. But this does go into his holster right here. Kind of a tight squeeze, but there you go. He does come with a nice breathing mask with transparent goggles on it. They didn't do the greatest job painting this yellow on this side. You can see the yellow went way off the mark there. And even on this side. But for the most part, it does look cool. And this flexible plastic piece there can rotate around. To put the mask on, I think the best thing to do is just to kind of tilt his head back a little bit. Put his chin in the mask. And just try to slip this over the top of his head. And try to keep it a little bit high because when we're putting on the helmet, it'll keep pushing it down. And he does look pretty cool with that mask on. And the hose piece that you see here just plugs directly into this apparatus right there. So he does come with this helmet with some nice sculpted details on it. What looks to be maybe a flashlight, perhaps like a headset attached to the helmet there. It is pretty decently painted for the most part, and it is sort of a softer plastic, so it does slip over the head very easily. So once you have the band going around the head like that, you can just take the helmet and put it over like so. And for the most part, it's supposed to fit very snugly, and that looks really cool. Next up, he does come with a tank for the flamethrower, and the details on the tank are pretty nice. It's not the greatest painted, maybe could have used an next coat of yellow, but for the most part, it does look really nice. You can see a little valve here. And this simply attaches to his back via a peg. And when you peg it onto his back, it does have a tendency to want to swing around and swivel. But it does look pretty cool on his back though. You do get this nicely sculpted hose. It is pliable, but I kind of wish it was a little bit more so because it does cause the backpack to swivel around. But this simply plugs in right here. Kind of wish that they had a plug on this side as well if you wanted to run the hose on the next side. Getting into this most important accessory, which is the actual flamethrower itself. And for the most part, it is pretty solid until you get to the stock, and the stock is quite flimsy. You do see the nice silver shield there, and the tank sculpted in. Should have put a little bit of red paint on that. But for the most part, it does look really decent. And it did come default in package with this flame effect, which can be removed. Flame effect just to show that it's lit and ready to go. And the same hose piece is going to attach directly into the gun, like so. So now that you have everything attached, all that's left to do is put it in his hand, which is just a simple matter of sliding it in there and getting the trigger finger through the trigger. And I will say, I don't really like this stock piece very much because it kind of hinders the mobility, and it also just bends quite a lot, so I don't think they should have put that there. And now we have Blowtorch ready to light some fools up. In addition to the flame effect that came on the gun, he does come with this additional one, which is like the flame spewing out. And that simply plugs into this one after you remove this flame effect. And once you have that in, you could have him spitting some flames. And lastly, he comes with this fireball effect, which is like a short burst. And with the short burst attached, that's how this one looks. Now, I'm not sure if this was intentional, but there's a little groove right here on the bottom of the pack, which just happens to be coincidentally the exact amount of space you need to stick this part inside there, so unintentional storage maybe. So for height, Blowtorch stands a little more than 6.5 inches tall. Here he is next to McFarlane Nightfall Batman. Here he is next to Mafex Nightfall Batman. Here he is next to an SHF Goku from Dragon Ball Daima. He is next to Jada Toys Mega Man. He is next to Jada Toys Ken. He is next to NECA Mirage Raphael. Here he is next to Black Series Mando. And lastly, here he is next to Marvel Legends Ant-Man. All in all, for my first classified figure, I think I chose a good one. Figure is really awesome. There are some very fiddly parts on him though. That backpack, because it's only pegged in at one cylindrical peg, keeps spinning around in the back there. Would have been better if there was some kind of keyed peg so it couldn't move around. Next, the stock on the flamethrower is very flimsy, so it just keeps bending and obstructing. They should have designed it without that stock instead, I think. Would have made it a little bit better. Would have been nice also to see some boot swivel to help with the posability and stuff, but for the most part, I really like this figure and I think it's really cool. So if you're interested in getting one of these, I'll put a link for it, Amazon link for it, so you could always check it out. Nonetheless, hope you all enjoyed this review. Hope this helps anybody who was on the fence about getting this figure. And until next time, y'all take care.